The International Movement for Leisure Activities in Science and Technology, MILSET, welcomes you to the MILSET World Virtual Summit 2021. Thank you for being here with all of us in this great conference that we will have today. The aim of this event is to gather leaders from worldwide organizations, institutions, corporations, ministries of education, and all the people interested in STEAM education. And today's conference is a proof that all these entities gathering together can make great projects together and motivate youth to do fantastic things for humanity. So today, we will be streaming live from UPEP University in the Convention Center in Mexico, and we will be streaming through MILSET Facebook and MILSET YouTube channel. My name is Liz Vela, and I am MILSET Communication Manager, and I want to thank MILSET authorities for the support of on organizing this event, also to our sponsors and to volunteers, and to everybody who has supported this activity to go live. Thank you very much. Today we have had great activities with all the members. We have had workshops and also the roundtables for MILSET members, which have been amazing. Thank you very much for participating. And well, I will give the floor to Ms. Vera Suarez, MILSET Managing Director. She will present our next speaker.
Thank you so much, Liz. It's a pleasure for me to be here, and also I'm so glad to introduce our speaker that is coming from UPAEP, the House of MILSET. Her name is Sofía Naranjo. She's an aerospace engineering undergraduate student at UPAEP University in Mexico. Is a student leader of the project manager system and part of the missions operation subsystem of the satellite Aztech Sat 1, a project developed in collaboration with NASA and the Mexican Space Agency. Worked with astronaut Jose Hernandez in Stockton, California, in the development of model and high-power rockets in 2019 and 2020. She received of the award of the Academic Excellence at UPAEP in 2019. And also, she is passionate of arts, being a professional dancer at UPAEP Company of Multidisciplinary Dance. And currently, she is finishing her last year of university and looking forward to work at the big space agency where she can continue developing her passion for engineering at the discovery of the universe. So today we are so glad to have you here. Sofía, the mic is yours.
Thank you so much, Verde, for that introduction. I'm really happy to be here today at the MILSET Virtual Summit, talking about a project that I'm very, very fond of, the Aztech Sat 1. Managed, designed, and built by a team of engineering students and professors of UPAEP University. It was a project in collaboration with Space Agency, and it used NASA spaceflight project lifecycle methodology. Next, please. So this project was built by a collaborative team of UPAEP professors and students, and we had a lot of people participating in this project. Throughout the years, our team changed a lot because some of the students finished university, some of the teachers had to leave, but at the end we were a really big team of about 60 people, including professors and students from different academic programs and academic degrees. We had students from programs like mechatronics engineering, aerospace engineering, electrical engineering, but also we had had students from programs like law, business intelligence, strategic planning, and audiovisual production and cinema, because this project wasn't only the technical part of doing a satellite, but everything that included working on a project like NASA style. And we also had a collaboration with the Autonomous University of Chihuahua, who had 5 students and one professor leading one of the teams of the Aztech Sat 1. Next, please. Now, in this diagram, you can see the different teams that were part of the Aztech Sat 1. And as you can see here, it wasn't only the technical part, as I was saying. We don't only have the teams like science and technology or payload or the spacecraft and ground segment and mission operation. We had very important teams like project management, license and permits, and education and public outreach that were key to developing the Aztech Sat to its maximum. So we're very happy to be a multidisciplinary team of a lot of people who have different skills, and at the end, this was a very important part of the development of the Aztech Sat, because having all these different people working together was the key to making something as successful as our project. I got a chance to be a part of the project management team. I was the lead student of this subsystem. And at the beginning of the project, I wasn't really sure if I was good enough to be in this type of projects. I was really nervous and insecure because I was really young. I was just starting university, and this was such a big project that I didn't think that I had it in me to do something like this. But my teacher, Professor Erika Sevilla, she invited me to this project because she saw potential in me. And at the end, I was really happy to be part of the project management team of the Aztech Sat 1 because I got to participate in all of the teams. I got to see the progress of all the technical and the personal parts of the Aztech Sat. And this was a really growing opportunity, a really big growing opportunity for me. Next, please. Now, let's talk a little bit about what was the Aztech Sat 1. So, as you can see here, I have a model of what was the Aztech Sat 1. It's a CubeSat of 1 unit, 10 centimeters times 10 times 10. And this was the actual size of the Aztech Sat 1. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about its mission and its concept of operations. So the Aztech Sat 1 was going to be launched from Cape Canaveral in a launch vehicle, arrive to the International Space Station, and then be deployed by nanoracks. 4 minutes after its deployment from the International Space Station, it was supposed to start transmitting information to the Global Star constellation. The Global Star constellation is a net of satellites in a higher orbit than the Aztech Sat 1. The Aztech Sat 1, as it was deployed from the International Space Station, has an orbit of around 500 kilometers, and the Global Star constellation has an orbit of about 1,400 kilometers. So the main mission of the Aztech Sat was this inter-satellite communication to achieve the transmission of data packages of housekeeping data from the Aztec Sat to the Global Star constellation, and then we will receive those packages by internet. But that wasn't the only part of the mission of the Aztec Sat. Besides this inter-satellite communication, the Aztec Sat also had a UHB radio beacon, and it had to send information to the ground station here at UPAEP and some other ground stations around the world. So we have those two purposes with the Aztec Sat 1. And next, please. The main mission goals and objectives were to develop a flight-ready CubeSat for deployment from the International Space Station that could demonstrate communication with the Global Star Network as an improved method of communication, because we wanted to prove that ground stations weren't as necessary, that we could have better communication as inter-satellite communication, and transmit verified data to the ground station so we could compare this data. Next, please. As I said before, we worked with our mentors from NASA and the Mexican Space Agency. So we had a success criteria that they were going to be evaluating throughout the project. And the first criteria was the minimum requirement that was to deliver a flight-ready nanosatellite to NASA. And then they would evaluate if we were completing all the conditions and protocols necessary for a launch. So, next please. This all started in 2017 when we had the kickoff of the project here at UPAEP. We started with a very big team of people working on this satellite. We were about 120 people between professors and students working in the start of this project. And in this video, I want to show you a little bit about the process of the work we did throughout the 2 years from 2017 to 2019. Of the work in the Aztech Sat, the programming, the construction, the design, and some different phases that we had to face for this project. Go ahead, please. See the work that we did for 2 years on the Aztech Sat 1. The design, the assembly, the integration and test. And as you could see, it was teamwork. It was not just job of the spacecraft team, but all the teams in the Aztech Sat 1 had their jobs to do. And throughout those 2 years, we started working really hard for the revisions we had with NASA and with the Mexican Space Agency. And as you can see in these pictures, there are some examples of the times that NASA and the IM people came here to UPAEP to check on our progress. Next, please. We had revisions like the requirements revision, the preliminary design review, and the critical design review. Next, please. And sometimes we even had bumps along the way. It wasn't all perfect, and we weren't the perfect team either. We had a lot of communication issues between the teams and the professors in the team and the students in the team. So we even had a Delta CDR, that I think it was that picture, where we understood that we weren't ready for the things that we had to do and that we had to work harder. But we didn't give up, and we continue working on this very important project. And at the end, we reached the integration phases of the Aztech Sat and finally the approval of NASA. We also had some testings there at NASA in California. And finally, we got the chance to have our flight-ready CubeSat. Next, please. And let's really remember that this was all teamwork. We did it all together. It wasn't just one person's job, but it was all of us, all of the people in the team. Next, please. And finally, we have the final product, the flight-ready CubeSat, as you can see in those pictures. That was the actual satellite that was sent into space. Next. Now, when NASA approved of our satellite, the next phase of the project was the launch. And I want to show you this little video because I remember that day we were all really, really excited here at UPAEP, and it was a really big moment for all of us, and I want to share that with you. So go ahead.
10, 9,
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Engines ignition. Liftoff of the Falcon 9 and Cargo Dragon, transporting critical research to enable living and working in Earth orbit and in deep space.
and the countdown also in Spanish. That was because that's the transmission from live from UPAEP that day, the day of the launch, December 5th, 2019. We were all here together at UPAEP. If you can put the picture. Yes. Not only the Aztech Sat team was there, but also all the people from the university who could be there that day. And everyone was so excited because finally, after 2 years of hard work, our project was gonna be reaching space. And that day, we were all really, really happy, and it's a feeling that I can't quite describe because I had never felt so proud in my life of myself and of all the people who were working on the Aztech Sat 1. And I never thought that I was going to be a part of a project that revolutionized science and technology in Mexico. And that day I was seeing one of my dreams come true. I remember that since I was little, I always wanted to be a part of the scientific community. I wanted to be a physicist, then I wanted to be an engineer. And I remember that a lot of people in my way told me that girls don't do that girls can't study an engineering or can't be physicists, that I wasn't smart enough to be working in a project with NASA, and that girls don't do this kind of stuff. And sometimes I believe that. I even remember moments in my life when I thought that I wasn't good enough for a project like this. But that day, seeing our Aztech Sat inside of the Falcon 9 from SpaceX, deploying from here and reaching the International Space Station, I'm sorry. It was such a feeling of fulfillment. My dream was coming true, and we all had did it. We did history that day. The team of the Aztech Sat, and we all had proved wrong the people who told us that we couldn't do it. And I had proved wrong the people who told me that nothing that I ever did was going to reach space. I'm sorry, next please. And even some part of our team were able to see this launch from Cape Canaveral with our mentors from NASA. And I remember that was really a big experience for them too. But we were all really, really excited at the UPAEP campus, as you could hear in the video that we just saw you. Next. And finally, we had a successful launch, and the Aztech Sat arrived safely in the Dragon capsule to the International Space Station. Next. Next. But that was just the beginning. The actual mission of the project wasn't to build a satellite, but to prove inter-satellite communication in space. So now that our satellite was in the International Space Station, we had to start working for the nominal and comprehensive success. So we had to wait for the deployment of the Aztech Sat from the International Space Station to orbit, to prove the operation with the communication to the ground segment, and also the communication with the Global Star Network. So next. We waited until the deployment was right, and on February 19, 2020, we could see the deployment of the Aztech Sat from the International Space Station via nanoracks. And here in this video, you can see how it was. It isn't as impressive as the launch of the Falcon 9, but for us it was something really, really big because it marked the start of the project. It really marked the start of the actual mission. So next, please. After that, here in these pictures, you can see the deployment a little closer, and that red spot is the Aztech Sat. Next. Better. And after that, the mission really began. So we had to wait 40 minutes to prove that the Aztech Sat was actually sending data to the Global Star network. And I remember that day, next please. Next. We were all together also here at the UPAEP, some of the team at the ground station and some others at the central event. And we were all waiting to see if it was actually going to work. At this time, we didn't know if everything we had worked to for 2 years was going to actually be successful. And in that moment, I remember that some of the teachers' phones started ringing and started receiving notifications. And it was the application of the Global Star constellation. So the Aztech Sat was actually transmitting information to the Global Star constellation, and we were receiving the data packages. So that was a very long day because we also had to prove that the Aztech Sat could communicate to our ground station here at UPAEP. So we started working on our ground station, and finally, we also received information from the Aztech Sat through our ground station. Next, please. So we didn't only prove that the nominal success, but also comprehensive success in our ground station with information from Global Star and information from our antennas. Next. And here are some pictures of what was the ground segment at UPAEP. Next. And next. Okay, next. And we kept working for, I think, around a month from the deployment of the Aztech Sat to March of 2020. And we all know what hit us on March 2020. So I remember that we felt really frustrated because we had spent years thinking about all the possible risks for this mission, all that could go wrong with the satellite, with the global, with the ground station, with the people on the team, with everything. But we never thought about a global pandemic. So we had to find solutions really quickly and continue working on the project. So the good thing is that the Global Star information always came through the internet, so we didn't need to work at the ground station for that. But we had to find ways to still be working with different antennas because we didn't have our ground station anymore because the university was closed. So we had to find different ways to work with radio amateur satellite networks, so we could still compare information from the Aztech Sat, from the Global Star, and antennas. And I remember that these challenges of virtuality really hit us as a team because we already had communication issues, and communicating virtually was harder. And a lot of people on the team were really disappointed. We really had the spirits down. We were very frustrated, and we kind of lost motivation on the project. But we, as a project management team and also as a part of the mission operation team, had to really think that this was bigger than the situation. This project was not only for us, not only for Mexico, but also for the good of humanity. So we kept working, and at the end, we really found a way to participate with the online community. Next. And finally, on October 1st, we had the closeout of the Aztech Sat 1. It was also a virtual event because we were still in a global pandemic. And as you can see in this picture, we got the chance to see again our mentors from NASA and from the Mexican Space Agency. And we got the chance to see a lot of people from our team here at UPAEP. Students and teachers, and we got the chance to do the overview of the projects, all the accomplishments that we had made throughout those 3 years. And even if we were a little frustrated and sad because it wasn't the closure that we wanted, we understood that the most important thing to do was to stay safe. So in that moment, that was the best that we could do. And we were really happy to see all the accomplishments that we did throughout the 3 years. And the Aztech Sat kept operating until May of 2021. And now, next. What I want to finish this talk with is, why are we still talking about Aztech Sat 1? It was a very big project, and here at UPAEP we love talking about it. But that's not the only reason that we still talk about the Aztech Sat 1. The Aztech Sat 1 was a very big project, especially here in Mexico, because we're living in a space era with significant challenges. And projects like the Aztech Sat 1 and the findings that we did can lead humanity to a better future. We can find improvements to continue growing as society and as scientists. And especially, I want to mention that here in Mexico, the Aztech Sat 1 was really, really important because it marked the start of the new space era. It's a reminder that we are disciplined enough to work under the NASA methodology, that we're capable enough to work in big space projects, that we're not just a manufacturer country. We can think and design and produce and create things like the Aztech Sat 1. And for us as a team, it gave us life skills that I can't even begin to describe, because working with a big team, a big multidisciplinary team, being so young was something really hard, but at the end, something very fulfilling. And I'm just very, very happy to be sharing this experience with you. And personally, the Aztech Sat 1 came into a moment in my life when I was really lost, when I didn't feel that I was at the right place. I was really young and I didn't know what I wanted from life. I didn't think that I was smart enough to be studying aerospace engineering, and I didn't have the confidence in myself. And the Aztech Sat 1 came with the people that it showed me, like my mentor, Erika Sevilla, who inspired me throughout the project and keeps inspiring me throughout life, and my very good friend, astronaut Jose Hernandez, who always believed in me and gave me big opportunities like doing internships in the USA. And my very big group of friends that I keep from the Aztech Sat 1. And I just remember how I felt before the Aztech Sat 1 and how I feel now. How right now I'm really confident about my skills, about my intelligence, about being able to do these kind of things, because we did it. It's not something that we just dreamed of, but something that we did. So we keep talking about the Aztech Sat 1 because we want you to feel as inspired as we are. We want you to feel this rush in your veins of motivation, of wanting to do big things, of wanting to dream big, because you can achieve anything you want to with hard work and dedication and the correct team with you, because we here at UPAEP, the team of the Aztech Sat, know that all of our dreams can reach space. Thank you.
Okay, sorry, my mic was off. Well, what I was telling you is that we feel very proud of this special project. Thank you to Sophie for such an inspiring conference. We have been witness of this project through the years and how it has inspired other people. And well, now I'm going to continue with the question and answer section. I know that some of these questions have been answered by Sophie, but I will remark them. So the first one, Sophie, is what was the biggest challenge as a student to be part of this demanding project?
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is that we had to balance not only the academic pressure, but also the pressure from the project. So we had to really find how to do both things. And that was really hard just starting university because you don't know your teachers, you don't know your classmates, you don't know anything about your career. And that was something very hard. And I think personally, the hardest thing that I had to face as a student was that some of the people really didn't believe in us. They thought that we were really young to be working in a project like this, and that as students our ideas weren't important. So I had to face a lot of criticism from even teachers at the project, and that was very hard. But at the end, I always had the support of other teachers, like my mentor, and personally, I always found that I could do the things that I was being asked. So it really was a growing opportunity, all the project of the Aztech Sat one.
Thank you very much, Sophie. And the next question is from Carlos Martinez. How it changed the way of seeing the development of projects on such an important scale at the academic level?
Okay, so this project, the Aztech Sat 1, was the first nanosatellite developed by a university. So here in Mexico, that's why it's so important, because it wasn't even designed or built in the industry, but at a university. And I think that changed a lot of how we see things here in Mexico, because now we have a different perspective on how space projects can be developed and how space projects can work. So besides that, academically, here at UPAEP, we learned a lot, not only the students, but also the professors, about the NASA methodology, because we're not used to working that precisely and that specific with documents and with different stuff. So I think that really changes academically the way to work with the NASA methodology.
Thank you very much, Sophie. Well, before continuing with the questions, I want to invite someone very special for us, someone we really love a lot because he has supported a lot of projects for not only for MILSET but in UPAEP. I would like to invite Mr. Eugenio Urrutia, he's a research principal in the UPAEP University. Please, Eugenio, the mic is yours.
Thank you very much, Liz. I just want to say some little words about this project. I was the general director of the project, and when I was invited to talk about this in this World Virtual Summit, MILSET World Virtual Summit, I said to Roberto and the organizers that it would be much better let a student to talk about the project, because as a former president for Latin America, I think that the essence of MILSET is not the old people, but the young people, the children. So this is a very good. I am very proud, Sophie, because your talk was very clear, and I think that you are inspiring another children and youngsters in not only in Latin America but in the world to take a risk and to study and to do very, very good things in the world. Thank you very much, Sophie, and thank you for the organizers for accepting Sophie to talk in a summit where it is supposed to hear all people. Thank you very much.
Of Sophie and of all UPAEP team for this fantastic project. So I will continue with the questions. The next question is for Sophie. How is it possible that schools from all over Mexico can participate in projects with UPAEP in this area?
Okay, first I want to say thank you to Professor Eugenio for believing in me, for thinking of me, for doing this conference, and for believing in me throughout the process of the Aztech Sat 1. I'm really happy to be here, and I'm really honored to be part of something like the World Virtual Summit of MILSET. And now, answering the question, I think the possibility of doing projects with UPAEP comes from links between the universities and also links between the Mexican Space Agency and NASA, because we were able to participate with the university in Chihuahua because they were part of the team of the Aztech Sat. But the logistics of how other universities can participate with UPAEP in projects like this, I'm not really sure how that works, but I think it's possible to work and collaborate between universities, because this is not only a UPAEP project, it's a project in collaboration with NASA and the Mexican Space Agency. So I think the easiest way to do this link is to go through the Mexican Space Agency.
Thank you, Sophie. The next question is from Mariam. She is asking, what was the most difficult experience and challenge to achieve in the project,
I think the most difficult time that I remember was when we had the Delta CDR, when in our critical design review, we didn't pass it and we had to go through a Delta CDR and redo what we had been doing. And I remember that the spirits were really down at that time. A lot of people abandoned the project, and the people who were on the project were really worried that we weren't going to make it. And I remember that at least as a leader of the project management team, it was really hard to watch all the other teams kind of falling apart and finding ways to motivate the people that we had on the team. So I would say that that was one of the hardest parts of the project, when we had to go through the Delta CDR. But at the end, we managed to do well in that revision, and we continue with the project. So after months of hard work and dedication and talks and a really improved methods of communication on our team, we were able to make it through.
Thank you very much, Sophie. The next one, it's which STEAM concepts or fields were applied during satellite building, the satellite building?
I think all of them, because we had teams from science, well, the part of science and technology, obviously the part of engineering, but also the parts of arts and, well, mathematics, obviously, in all the calculations. But I want to especially talk about the art part of the project of the Aztech Sat 1, because as I said in the conference, this wasn't only a technical building of a satellite, but also we had a team that documented everything and at the end did a documental of the Aztech Sat 1. We also had a team of graphic design who helped us make everything pretty, because sometimes we as engineers don't think of how things will look and only how things will work. So it was a really important part of the Aztech Sat 1. We had to remember that this was something not only for us, but for the people, and it had to look pretty. So we had the part of arts in those two concepts in the Aztec Sat 1, in the cinema part, the documental, and also the graphic design part of the Aztec Sat 1. And well, I think the other parts of STEAM are really clear throughout the project, the parts of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
Thank you very much, Sophie. Well, now it's a time for the greetings. We have many, many greetings, but I will say just some of them before we end this great conference. So greetings from Brazil, from Mr. Elio Brochier, Miriam Hernandez from Argentina. She sends you many greetings too. We also have greetings from our dear friend Gian Dus. He even created a phrase for you. He says, that's one small step for NASA, one giant leap for UPAEP. So he says that you're the best, you're great
Thank
too.
you.
Rodrigo Zamora, thanks for inspiring a new generation of engineers. greetings from Argentina. Ms. Maria Angelica Riquelme from Chile. Congratulations, excellent conference. A great UPAEP Mexico team. Congratulations for Mr. Eugenio Rutia too. What else? We have a greeting from the United Arab Emirates, from South Korea, from Germany. And I can continue. So we got many, many greetings. So thank you very much, Sophie. We're very proud of you and of the team. And we wish that all the leaders and the young people who are watching this conference can get more inspired, the leaders to support their students and all the job that they lead. And for the young people, you can do whatever you want and whatever you dream. Thank you very much. Please don't forget that we continue with in some minutes with another conference on the World Virtual Summit. And don't forget to check the program on the summit.milset.org website for tomorrow's activities. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.